Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please do it to share, like and subscribe. This is Anna, aka touching life in every aspect. Guys, with me today I have a special guest in the house. Although she's claiming not to be a VVIP, but we both know she's a very special person, guys. I would allow her to introduce herself and then we go into the topic for today.
Hi everyone, I'm Goodness and okay, basically I'm passionate about health. I'm a global health practitioner and I also doubled as a biochemist, and I'm very passionate about health education, health promotion and health prevention, and it's nice to be here with you all.
Right, guys, from the way she introduced herself, you can tell that we have a lot to learn today, right? Okay, so I would first of all say apologies. I've not really been dropping videos for like I think 2-3 Sundays now, and that's because I was on my friend's channel. It's a spiritual channel where they talk about godly things. You can as well join. Let us know. We'll drop the link for you in the comment section below. And yeah, we were talking about love because it was love was in the atmosphere at that point, I guess. Right, so that's the reason, and based on other reasons as well, which you would get to know later on. Trust me, guys. Okay.
The full opportunity. I'm very glad to be here to share the information I have on this topic. So first is that whether you're a student, a worker, a career person, in whatever endeavor you find yourself, you must have experienced anxiety one time or the other, right? And anxiety is something that is very common. So simply anxiety is feeling uneasy or worried about something. Most times anxiety can be very good because sometimes it can propel us to achieve a particular task in our place of work. Maybe you're very anxious of, oh, how do I meet up with a deadline? And then you find yourself getting at it and all of that. But when does this become a mental health issue?
That's the question.
Yeah. So it becomes a mental health issue when it becomes an anxiety disorder. So anxiety disorder is simply a mental health condition where a person become anxious, uncontrollably, right? And the symptom of this anxiety tends to affect the person's daily activity and productivity, right? Yeah, so when you become uneasy, when you become anxious and you can't control it, right, it gets to becoming a disorder, because at that point you can't be very productive in your daily activity. You can't carry out your daily tasks.
There is
and that is anxiety disorder. We're going to be looking at anxiety disorder. And I believe anxiety is something that is very common to everyone, the young, the old. Everyone experiences anxiety, and most of the times we don't have the right channels on how to deal with this. We don't take up the right strategies. We don't get to the right source in order to deal with mental health issues, and is really leading our young people to a lot of more problems like suicidal ideation and depression and all of that. So we're going to be considering anxiety.
Wow, guys, you can tell it's a loaded topic. Like, I cannot wait for us to start diving into it and start understanding what it's all about, because I feel like anxiety is something that every one of us at one stage or the other go through in life. I mean, it happens to us, but I feel one way or the other we find our way through it. It's not like it's something we just escape out of and that's it. It's like it comes and it goes, but we really need to know how to deal with this. And thank God we have a medical person in the house who's going to enlighten us onto how to go about all this. So yeah, we were able to
all right, thank you again for this wonderful opportunity. I'm very glad to be here to share the information. So sometimes it leads to depression. Sometimes you see people try to isolate themselves. It could actually graduate to a whole lot of other mental health issues. So that is actually what mental anxiety disorder is.
But I feel like most of the times we use the word depression, oh, I'm depressed, or I'm this and that, but we don't even really know how all this come along, like where it started from how the mismanagement of it got into anxiety disorder and then to depression and all of this. So if you can please, let's learn from you for more.
Okay, right. So anxiety disorder is quite similar to depression, but there is a thin difference, right? So when a person is depressed, is actually another mental health issue. When a person is depressed, the person loses its productivity. It affects your well-being, and what depression does to you is that it can lead you to having suicidal ideation, just like anxiety disorder. It isolates you from people, right? It makes you you begin to hear things about yourself. Probably you begin to listen to thoughts that are not thoughts that are not true about yourself. And this is also similar to anxiety disorder, and that is where the coping strategies come in, because first is that you have to own it. You have to loses its productivity. It affects your well-being, and what depression does to you is that it can lead you to having suicidal ideation, just like anxiety disorder. It isolates you from people, right? It makes you you begin to hear things about yourself. Probably you begin to listen to thoughts that are not thoughts that are not true about yourself. And this is also similar to anxiety disorder, and that is where the coping strategies come in, because first is that you have to own it. You have to master yourself. You have to tell yourself the truth that this is what I'm facing, right? A lot of people shy away from the fact that they have mental health issue, probably because of the stigma that is associated with it. They don't want to say, oh, I'm being mentally disturbed, I'm having depression, I'm having anxiety disorder, and all of that. It is okay not to be okay. I keep saying that, right? Because if someone is physically down, probably you broke your ankle and you have to go to the hospital to see the GP, or you're having headache and you have to see the GP. It's just similar having a mental health issue, because health by WHO has been defined as being physically, emotionally, and mentally okay. Quick remedies that you could just adopt in your daily life to deal with anxiety disorder. It's first, like I said, making sure that you own up to it. Tell yourself the truth, own up to this, and be able to tell yourself that this is what you're facing, and then you could be able to deal with it. Then secondly is take a breath, right? People feel like people feel like there is what we call the breath therapy, right? Where you could just consciously, you don't just have to make it reflex, you're breathing. As we're talking, we are breathing, but you consciously take a breath. Because anxiety disorder, you could notice that you get anxious probably when you're preparing for a new job, or you're going for your first date, or your first time speaking to the public, right? You become anxious, and you see these things persist over time, and it's becoming a culture. Or there are activities that you do. That's where we have different types of anxiety disorder, which we might not really go into. And probably you have an environment that is not always comfortable for you, and then you feel anxious. But what you do, how do you deal with this, is that before you venture in that activity that could actually propel anxiety in you, or before you get into that point where it begins to affect, what will they say about me when I get to work? Will they accept me? What if I make this speech and I don't get it right? You begin to hear negative things about you. So your ability to reposition your thoughts, that is where the posture of your heart comes in. I believe this is a Christian channel, so I will quickly be adding some scriptures to read, because the Bible says, do not be anxious for nothing, right? So in everything, for you not to be anxious about something comes with the posture of your heart. What are you thinking? Naturally, anxiousness will want to come. Naturally, you wake up and then you see, oh, I'm panicking again about work. I'm panicking again about this. So you have to have that posture of your heart where you combat negative thought with positive thought. And that comes with self-declaration, that comes with self-confession. What are you saying to yourself? And then as a Christian, you have to, aside looking at motivational, well, what has the Lord said about you? What are you holding on to?
What have you received?
What have you received? Yes, there. What have you received? So those words, the Bible says, whatever is good, whatever is kind, whatever is excellent, of good report, think on these things. So by the time you begin to think,
a very special guest, guys, you've heard it from her. I feel like when she was speaking, I feel like she's actually talking, to me directly, because basically when I'm in moments like this, every one of us go through this times one time in our life. I basically talk to myself. In fact, as a matter of fact, the fact that she said take a break, I would most time go to the bathroom and say, okay, calm down. What is the? I speak to myself
it's
like
very
that. I look to the mirror and I speak to, calm down. What's the matter? Let's talk about it.
It's very
You're
therapeutical.
fine. You're good. This is it. God, you're only concerned about those words. And I feel like the word is in itself was created with word. Our words are very powerful. Remember, the Bible says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I feel like when you're exchanging these negative thoughts with positive thoughts, with what has been spoken about you, with what you've received from God about yourself, it helps you, it strengthens you, it encourages you, it helps you to, move out of that anxiety mood and all that. And with this said,
I quickly want to add, one more thing.
Yes.
Like I said, these are quick remedies. We have other professional remedies where we talk about physical activity. We talk about cognitive behavior, therapy, where you have to meet with a therapist, mental health therapist, and all of that. So aside the other bigger part, and sit down, have this conversation with yourself and understand what your triggers are, right? Like, you see young people, I could actually, let me quickly tell myself the truth. While I was younger than this, I remember I tell myself that whenever I break a law in the house, I know these are triggers. I become very anxious. I panic a lot. I could actually have panic attack till the next day. And panic attack can take away your sleep. That's what anxiety disorder does. It takes away your peace. It could actually affect your eating pattern. It could affect so many things in your health, right? So what do I do? I try to avoid it. So my dad says, make sure everyone is home by 7 p.m. Wherever I'm going on a date or anything, I try to be home 7 p.m. So if I'm gonna be running late, I try to give a call across just to make sure, just to make sure that I am not putting myself in that scenario where I begin to panic. So understand the trigger, and if as a very quick remedy, try to avoid them. Then there are some triggers that that these are things that could actually help you to be productive, like making speeches, getting a new job. Then that is when you practice breathing. That's when you have diversion of thoughts, and that is self-talk.
A medication, to put it somewhere, and I was taking it straight to the bin. And someone was asking me, what are you doing? I was so confident. Like, I felt like, I was doing the right thing. I'm like, I'm going to put it here. And she was like, are you okay?
That's what panic can do.
That's what it can do. Like, your mind is just gone. Like, you're lost. You're just in there somewhere. So, guys, we really do appreciate you coming on the show. And we've learned a lot from you today. We would love to see more of you. Guys.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna be having a write-up. It's going to be a 5-minute read. And it will be on the website. I'm gonna be publishing it on probably 2 different websites. So I will feel free to share it with Anakins, and then you could actually have a read-up of other therapeutical remedies that you could adopt and actually check out for other health initiatives that we're going to be having.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you today. I mean, what you don't know, but what you know now, you know how to use it.
Thank you so much. It's a great privilege. I really enjoyed this session.
Thank you. Right, guys, it's touching life in every aspect. Do not forget, next Sunday we'll drop another video, and watch out for what we're going to do.
And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee.
Thank you so much, guys.
When thou
Bye.
walkest through
Don't
the
forget to
fires,
comment.
thou shalt not be burnt. Thither shall the flames kindle upon thee. For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Saviour. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, and Ethiopia and Saba for thee. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou art been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore I will give men